In 1915, you had a large number of Armenians living in their homeland, in Armenia. It's the year that will live in infamy. It's a year that is always marked by the Armenian people as the date that the Armenian Genocide began. The Turkish government, the Ottoman Empire at that time, decided that they would want to annihilate every Armenian. Now this is very interesting. It's not a war. It's now legal to kill Armenians. Not only that, it's illegal not to kill them. So you would be going against the will of the Turkish state if you did not kill these people. So the Armenians were mass slaughtered, killed, destroyed, and a large number of them were also deported. This is how the Armenian diaspora is created. And it takes Armenians throughout the world. And of course, some of them ended up in America as well. Basically, it's the beginning of the Armenian diaspora.
Merci, Mom. How are you? Good to see you.
Oh, nice, Mama.
Love him, merci.
Պատրաստ Հայաստանի համար, բրավո։
Merci, Mom.
Էտանք սուրճ խմենք մեկ հատ, wonderful, Mama ջան։
Էտանք, merci, էտանք։
Համեցեք, սուրճը պատրաստ քեզի համար։ Wow.
Ooh, wow. As always.
As always.
Thank you, Mom.
I found the album, your childhood.
Oh yeah, the one I asked about? Okay.
Yes, All Armenian school. Your friend.
Armenian teacher, she was the heart and soul of that, of the community back in San Francisco. Wow, this is when I was doing an Armenian play at 4th grade, 5th grade. A couple times a year we had some plays, so we really dived into the spirit of it all. Yeah, I was dressed as a priest. We had some soldiers. We had a king and queen, and Artoon Art was a celebrated Armenian soldier centuries ago. So yeah, it was again just kind of a great community to sort of kind of hear these stories of strength and courage and perseverance throughout the centuries. We used to have a choir with very dedicated, or everybody seemed like they were kind of forced to be singing, but no, it was a good after-school sort of program. That's me. We used to have speech contests, Armenian speech contests, so I used to go and kind of compete with some of the folks in my grade in elementary school to try to give an impassioned speech. Important thing is it was all tight community with the undertone of the Armenian culture.
I wanted to keep the culture and the language, and that is the only way. Even though it was private school, the only school in San Francisco, but it's a lot of effort. I believe always that you have to teach your kids the youngest age possible their own heritage. It doesn't matter. English, they're gonna learn no matter what because we live here. This is our home. But Armenian language and the culture is something that you have to teach your kids, otherwise it's gonna be lost. Baron Panosian used to have all this music, and he went through a lot of trouble to make sure these kids know Armenian and their, all the music and the words, and he used to teach them well. So
That's awesome.
every Armenian should go and visit Homeland.
Yeah.
So you're the first in our family, so we're gonna be following you.
I'm just kind of excited to really see firsthand the people, the atmosphere. I mean, it's the good and the bad. There's so much, obviously, of our history that is difficult to visit and revisit. But I think there's nothing that compares to actually being there. I can't believe it took this long, but finally going to go journey halfway across the world and with some of my best friends and see what we can do.
Good
Thank
luck to you and your friends. Be safe and come home with lots of stories to tell us.
Sounds
Love
good,
you.
Marta. Thank you.
Not only have Armenians in the West preserved key aspects of their traditional identities, but their culture is also evolving. Armenian artists in the diaspora contribute to the broader cultural dialogue, all while incorporating their underlying identities into their work.
Hey, I'm Artoon. Come on in. The first thing I drew, 4 or 5 years old, my mom was teaching me how to draw horses, and that's back in Armenia. I remember I was drawing horses and I took a liking to that. I'm very proud to be Armenian. I'm raising my kids to be Armenian. Having them speak Armenian is important. I want to keep the culture going. Tell you the truth, every single mural I do, I leave some kind of hint that there's Armenian something, like Hollywood Boulevard. I couldn't write Lakers and on Kobe's jersey, so I wrote Ape Lavis instead of Lakers, Lavis. But no one will catch it with a naked eye. I'm still doing nice art for the public, but I might leave some low-key Armenian signs, but I don't want to be labeled as just an Armenian artist. No, I'm an artist for this world, and that's just how it goes. That's how art should be, free, open, not limited to one specific group or one specific idea. I've done murals before inside, but the first one I did on the streets was 99th year of the Armenian Genocide. I did the bigger one the next year, and slowly it just turned into a business. Across the street from the genocide piece I did with my grandma, there's a pizza joint, Bravo Pizza. One day I was eating at Bravo Pizza and this older gentleman is staring at the wall and crying. And when I see that, I feel like I've done my job. That is the main goal of that painting. So it's cool when you actually see it happen. I want to do more, I want to do more, I want to engage more, I want to do some other cool stuff, because in a way you're beautifying the streets. And what other place to beautify here in LA? Being Armenian in today is tough. How many times have we lost that land? How many times have we gained that land? Do I feel like we might not have Armenia tomorrow? Yeah, I feel like that. I feel like, who's there to save us? But remember, Armenians go back to a time where you're dealing with Phoenicians and Sumerians and all these tribes that don't exist anymore. We still do. So there's a lot to be proud about. There's that saying, 10 people ready to die for each other is stronger than a 100-man army. That's true. If everyone unites like that, you can't break it. You can't break it. It's like putting those tiny little sticks all together. You cannot break a big bundle. Maybe that is the answer of our success, uniting.
Over a century has passed since the genocide, but the Armenians have not yet seen justice for their forced deportations and the deaths of 1.5 million of their ancestors. They hold the Republic of Turkey responsible for reconciling these crimes, but the Turkish government denies these charges and offers an alternative view of reality.
My name is Artoon Art. I'm the Executive Director of the Armenian National Committee of America. We're headquartered here in Washington, D.C., but have chapters across the country and affiliates around the world. In 2018, at a global summit, I believe it was a G20 summit, Erdogan spoke about the impossibility of Turkey ever having committed genocide.
Turkey cannot be blamed for having performed genocide upon the Armenians. Please, let's leave the discussions to the historians and let's listen to what the historians have to say. Who performed genocide on whom?
The academic consensus agrees that the Armenian Genocide is a historical reality. In 1997, the International Association of Genocide Scholars passed a resolution affirming that the mass murder of over 1 million Armenians in Turkey was a case of genocide. As of 2024, Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Pakistan are the only 3 countries in the world to deny the Armenian Genocide.
The reality is that Turkey has not only denied the Armenian Genocide, but obstructed justice for that crime.
Who attacked you?
The Turks. The Turks attacked me. The Turks attacked me. Get out, don't come.
The protest that was organized by Kurdish Americans, Armenian-Americans, Greek-Americans, and just Americans who care about human rights was organized to protest the visit of the Turkish President Recep Erdogan to the White House. He is guilty of horrific human rights violations, of war crimes, and we felt that he needed to be held to account, that American citizens should raise our voices against his visit. It's our constitutional right to protest. And it turns out the thing that we're entitled to do here in America apparently is out of bounds in Turkey, because very soon after arriving, he sent his team, his security team, his bodyguards, to attack us.
It was an affront to our values as Washingtonians and as Americans, and it was a clear assault on the First Amendment. As Americans, the First Amendment grants us the right to assemble and protest peacefully. And here in D.C., we are committed to safeguarding and protecting that right.
And it was not really like a move to protect him, because his car was parked in front of the embassy ambassador's residence, but he sent his guards across the street into the park, Sheridan Circle, and attacked people who were defenseless, untrained, unarmed, many of them elderly, many of them women.
Somebody ordered them and they just attacked us. We had the elderly, women are there, and we had the kids with us. And they didn't mind. I saw the little girl on the floor.
This is not acceptable. They come over here as a bodyguard. They're supposed to protect Erdogan. They do not supposed to attack the people, the citizens of the United States.
The legal dimension of this case is that 2 of the perpetrators fled, and they apparently went to Canada and have not been heard from since. 2 locally based were in fact prosecuted and did spend time in jail for their crimes, but who actually worked for Erdogan were given a free pass to leave the country. Human rights has been a commodity in the US-Turkey relationship. So on the one hand, Turkey offers some regional value to the United States and NATO and the West. In turn, the West basically turns a blind eye to every conceivable sin. So literally, we barter with Turkey the forgiveness of its sins. And we have struggled for the truth, but not truth simply for validation's sake. We have struggled for the truth in the interest of justice, the justice that is owed the Armenian nation. Because what was taken from the Armenians in 1915 was, in great measure, lives, certainly land, property, cultural institutions, holy sites. But alongside that was the very idea of viability. There's something like 3 million Armenians in Armenia. They represent basically 3 out of every 10 Armenians. The remaining 7 out of 10 live in the diaspora. We are part of the viability formula for the Armenian nation. If it's just those 3 million, it's going to be very difficult. They're landlocked, they're blockaded, they are a genocide survivor state, facing very, very powerful aggression by very, very powerful enemies. We bring, I sometimes say, a second army to the fight. So we are very much devoted and very much invested in the idea of a just resolution of the Armenian genocide, one that restores to Armenia its place at the table of nations.
The Armenian Church has served as the bedrock of the Armenian national identity for more than 1,700 years. Following the genocide, it played a central role in bringing Armenians together for communal support, healing, and spiritual growth.
Church has always been thought of as this institution that does the sacraments, the baptisms, the weddings. But without those, you don't have this community. After the genocide, it was the churches that were springing up. And that's where somebody from Harper would meet somebody from Sepastia, somebody from Palu would meet somebody from Tomarza. And it was the church that became the new Armenia. In Christian theology in our Armenian church, the repentance is important. It means to turn around. But it is not a requirement for forgiveness. If you look at the story of Jesus on the cross, he forgives people without anybody asking him. And we have to have that kind of love to be able to say that, okay, this person may not know what he is doing. Let me talk about that higher love, that ability to love somebody. Even if I know that that person has hurt me, I can love that person. It's the kind of love that parents have. It's the kind of compassion, what we call God's love. If we call ourselves the first Christian nation, then we have an obligation to take the teachings of Jesus Christ and apply them to our lives. He says, love one another, love your enemies. That's something unheard of, but it's a requirement. It means forgiving. People say, how can we forgive the Turk? Start by forgiving your brother, forgive your sister, forgive your mother, forgive your children. Now, once we start doing this, we start understanding that in forgiveness, it's not about forgetting, it's about releasing. 1988, the Armenian earthquake took place. The first responders were the Turks because they lived right over the border. They came over. Late last year, there was an earthquake in Turkey. Who were the first responders? It was the Armenians. It's not the government. It's the guy on he's seeing his neighbor messed up. He runs over and he helps out. That's where we've got to get to. And once we do, we start understanding that that person, not the government, that person is just a person just like me and you. Wants his children to grow up okay, wants to live in a peaceful world. And when we start understanding that our life is not meant to be for ourselves, but for others, to live for others, then we start understanding that that true peace comes from within. Jesus Christ has given us something which is called love, and he says that can move mountains. Martin Luther King used that same thing to bring justice and civil rights to the African Americans. Gandhi, who was not even a Christian, used that same thing to bring the rights to the Indian people. Why aren't we using it? We're the first Christian nation. So take advantage of what Christ taught us, the power of love, and leverage that to move the mountains.
Even for those who offer forgiveness, it is difficult to fully heal from the multi-generational trauma caused by genocide. However, the pilgrimage to Armenia provides a rite of passage for those in the diaspora seeking peace with their identities. By embarking on a symbolic journey home, diaspora Armenians have the chance to reconnect with their heritage, process the tragedy, and rediscover who they are.
I'm going to Armenia because there's a piece of my identity that is still missing if I don't really go and see Armenia firsthand and sort of experience the emotional experience. I think that's going to tell me a lot about who I am, who my ancestors were, and really kind of craft or refine potentially my identity after the trip. Then, deep into the future and potentially for my kids as well.
Armenia. It's the first Christian nation in the world, a title that is a source of great pride amongst Armenians everywhere. But how did this come to be? And what impact has Christianity made on Armenian culture?
Gregory, who is known as the Illuminator, came into Armenia preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ at the end of the 3rd century, around 287, 288. And he was imprisoned for his beliefs, for Christianity. Gregory was imprisoned in a pit called Hor Virab. Literally, the word Hor Virab means a deep pit. And he was there for 13 years, being kept alive, of course, with his prayers, with his meditations, but also by the kindness of the king's sister who would come and give him food. When the king was so violently ill, he was told that Gregory was still alive and he could cure him. He comes out of the pit, cures the king. As a result, the king proclaims that Christianity is the official religion of the Armenian people. That's in 301 12 years, 13 years before Rome accepted Christianity. The difference is in Rome it became one acceptable religion. In Armenia it became the religion of the people. Because we were Christian, we remained Armenian. For instance, after the acceptance of Christianity, they needed to translate the scriptures. Mesrop Mashtots, who was a monk, a priest of the Armenian church, invented this alphabet on the Catholicos' insistence that we know what we are reading in the Bible in our words, in Armenian language. And so the alphabet was created for the sole reason of translating the Bible. And as a result of that, this was in 404, that 5th century became a golden age of literature. Because now we have an alphabet, we're writing. Now you've got culture flourishing.
As much as Armenia is defined by its past, the nation is constantly working towards building a brighter future. Nonprofit organizations like AGBU help to preserve the Armenian identity while investing in the children, youth, and future generations.
AGBU, when it started in 1906, the main mission was to help the Armenians living in Western Armenia. All of it was aimed into one direction, to preserve the Armenian identity. All of the projects fall into 4 pillars: education, culture, humanitarian, and socio-economic development projects. The Children's Centers is one of my favorite projects in Armenia. During the Soviet Armenia, there were these centers that were called pioneer centers. The pioneer centers was something similar to the Scouts that we know. But of course, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, all these centers, they were not operating. The children, after school, they are out in the streets having nothing to do. And there was a real danger of a big chunk of society moving in the wrong direction. So His Holiness Kara King II approached the government and asked them if they can allocate these abandoned buildings to the church. So these children had somewhere to go after school. The government agreed. Echmiadzin has 8 children's centers around Armenia, 3 of which are financed by AGBU. Now we are renovating the Malatya Children's Center, and it's going to be an unbelievably nice center with its swimming pool, with the gym, with modern classrooms and amphitheater with airplane modeling laboratory. Now we are trying to incorporate programs for the families. So the footprint of these children's centers is not only the children, it's their families and it's their communities. Every year, these centers, they organize a year-end event, and these children come out and perform, or they display their work, whether they are paintings or carpets or pottery. You cannot help it but feel extremely emotional, to the point that your tears will run down your cheeks, because you see the talent, the huge talent these kids have, and you are inspired by that, but at the same time you are happy that they have been given the chance to advance what they like and what they love. The future of Armenia is in the hands of the kids, the children, and it's our job to provide them with good education, explore their capabilities, point them into the right direction, and let them fly. And when you see these talents, you can be sure that the future of this country is going to be bright.
We've seen thousands-year-old landmarks. We saw tourists from all creeds, all countries visiting these sites. And just kind of standing in front of those structures and feeling and touching their persistence to continue to stand, you know. Yes, they have been renovated over the centuries, but really the backbone of these structures have largely remained intact. And it's very, very symbolic of sort of the Armenian people and the Armenian will over the centuries. You know, these are UNESCO sites. These are important for humankind, not just Armenians. I knew there were going to be some negative emotions and some demons I would have to face head on, but there is a sense of survivorship that has continued over the centuries, and there is no reason why it ends now or in the near future. So yes, I remain hopeful, but that's going to continue to take effort from all Armenians around the world.
In the city of Etchmiadzin, the headquarters of the Armenian Church, locals gather for a Sunday service. Their thoughts and prayers are focused on an urgent conflict that threatens their cultural heritage.
While we're standing here in the monastery of St. Gayan in Holy Etchmiadzin and are about to attend Divine Liturgy in the church, we continue to pray for Nagorno-Karabakh. When we speak about Nagorno-Karabakh, or as we, the Armenians, name it Artsakh, we need to know its value and what it is, because it's not just a land, it's the Armenians who for thousands of years have lived in this piece of land which is between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Historically, it has been part of Greater Armenia. And in 1918, there was going to be independence for many countries, including Armenia and Azerbaijan. Azerbaijanis took the advantage of being strong and they took over. Later on, Stalin, with a special decree, gave it to Azerbaijan as an autonomous oblast.
On June 7, 1923, the Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Oblast became an administrative division of Azerbaijan. The Armenians were granted the authority to manage their own local government under the larger umbrella of Azerbaijan and the USSR.
But historically, Nagorno-Karabakh has either been independent or part of Armenia. Hence, Armenians have created marvelous expressions of spiritual art in Nagorno-Karabakh, including many churches, monasteries such as Dadivank and Amaras, Ganzasar and Gitchavang. Tsitsernavang, and many others. And many of these churches are now under the threat of being destroyed. In fact, some of them have been destroyed already, including hundreds of khachkars. And they have come up with two kinds of approaches to the treatment of our cultural heritage in Nagorno-Karabakh. Azerbaijanis either destroy the churches, or when they see that the churches are under the spotlight of international community, they come up with this false notion of so-called Caucasian Albanian heritage or Udi heritage, and they claim that the churches, the monasteries, actually don't belong to the Armenians, but to the Udi minority, who have in fact been persecuted by Azerbaijanis for many years, alongside Armenians who lived in Artsakh and also within Azerbaijan and that area.
In response to Armenian reports to the United Nations, the International Court of Justice ordered Azerbaijan to take all necessary measures to prevent and punish acts of vandalism and desecration affecting Armenian cultural heritage.
We might have never heard of Nagorno-Karabakh, Artsakh, or even Armenia, but we can't be indifferent to very serious problems that our sisters and brothers around the world may face. Obviously, Armenians know their history, and I'm very glad that around the world we've been able, through the Armenian Church, to tackle this issue of desecration of Armenian cultural heritage of Nagorno-Karabakh and to find the ways of preserving this cultural heritage.
Meanwhile, in California, protesters gather in support of the Armenians living in Nagorno-Karabakh.
We are sitting today in front of the building where the Consulate General of Azerbaijan has his office. We are providing a blockade to this building because Azerbaijan has blockaded the only land route for commercial transport in and out of the historic land of Artsakh, a landlocked region of Armenian Christians in Azerbaijan. The president and government of Azerbaijan has blockaded that route now for 8 months and 4 days. No food, medicine, or supplies have gone in, and 120,000 Armenians living in Artsakh are suffering right now.
By July of 2023, 90% of pregnant women in Nagorno-Karabakh suffered from anemia due to the blockade. Miscarriage rates quadrupled.
Babies are being stillborn because they don't have medicines for the women to regulate their biorhythms to have natural childbirth.
Article 2D of the United Nations Genocide Convention defines genocide as imposing measures intended to prevent births.
The grocery stores are closed because the shelves are empty. We just received the first pictures yesterday of people that are dying of starvation. Not just malnutrition, but starvation.
Article 2C of the United Nations Genocide Convention defines genocide as deliberately inflicting on a group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction.
The Azeri government has weaponized food. They've blockaded the only land route into Artsakh. When they open that door, we will open this door.
In 1988, the parliament of the Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Oblast declared independence from Azerbaijan for the first time. They sought unification with Armenia due to their shared linguistic, cultural, and historical heritage. In response, mobs of ethnic Azerbaijanis massacred Armenians across Azerbaijan, leading to Armenian retaliations.
In 1991, when the Soviet Union fell, in the same month that Azerbaijan declared their independence from the Soviet Union, the independent Christians in this oblast declared their independence from Azerbaijan.
This marked the second time the Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Oblast voted for independence. They did this to clarify any legal ambiguity surrounding the collapse of the Soviet Union. The results showed an overwhelming support for independence.
Because Azerbaijan resisted that, there was a war.
I was born in Artsakh in 1975. My family moved out to Artsakh, to Armenia, in 1980. But when the war started, when Azerbaijan tried to cleanse that territory after the Soviet Union collapsed, my parents gathered us, me, my brother, and my sister. We went back to the village where we were born to stand with people of Artsakh. We were able to liberate Artsakh and force a peace to them, which lasted for 30 years. And in 2020, Azerbaijan started another war with the help of Turkey, and after the war, there was agreement that they would keep the Lachin corridor open.
The trilateral ceasefire agreement signed by Russia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan clearly states Azerbaijan shall guarantee the safe movement of citizens, vehicles, and cargo in both directions along the Lachin corridor.
Armenian forces agreed to withdraw, but after a year and a half, it's the opposite now. They closed the corridor, and for 8 months now, they're in total blockade. My cousin, he died in my hands during the war. I lost numerous friends to this war, and our people suffered a lot during this war. And what's painful today, that after so much suffering, after so much that people of Artsakh went, today they're going through the same thing, even worse, and the world is silent. They're trying to do ethnic cleansing, and they want that land without Armenians. It's our homeland. We've been living there for thousands of years. We're probably one of the oldest nations in the world. And now they're telling us, so you cannot live here, basically. I hope the peace will come to that land. I really hope.
Taxi, մենք Մայր Հայաստանի Արցանի տակն ենք հիմա, մենք ուզում ենք այդ թանք Armenia Tree Project, քանի րոպե կելին որ կաք հասնեք մեզ մոտ։ Okay, լավ, շատ լավ, կտեսնենք։ Շնորհակալություն, bye bye.
Hello, I am Andranik. I am military, I am soldier. And I was participating in war in 2020 against of Azerbaijan. I was in Nagorno-Karabakh. It was a genocide against of Armenia and Artsakh's people.
In October 2020, Azerbaijan unleashed white phosphorus munitions on forests and villages in Nagorno-Karabakh. They are seen here targeting the densely wooded regions where soldiers and civilians sought refuge from Azerbaijan's military advances. White phosphorus is a highly toxic chemical substance that ignites upon exposure to oxygen, It inflicts fatal injuries and causes horrific flesh-eating damage to the human body. The United Nations prohibits the use of weapons primarily designed to set fire to objects or cause burn injuries against civilians. Nonetheless, Azerbaijan proceeded with blatant disregard for international law, the environment, and human life. Understanding Azerbaijan's genocidal intent, these actions meet the criteria outlined in Article 2B of the United Nations Genocide Convention, which defines genocide as causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of a group.
Այս 44-օրյա պատերազմում մեր բոլոր երեխաները, ովքեր որ մնացին, փախեցին անտառ, բոլորը վառվեցին, զոհվեցին մեր 5000 երիտասարդ ջահել երեխաները, պատանիները, որոնք դեռ նոր են սկսել իրենց կյանքը, զոհեցին հանուն հայրենիքին.
And now it is continue because enemy of our nation is lost the corridor between Armenia and Artsakh, and they now want to doing a new genocide, and we can't send anything, and no one can send anything, and no food, no petrol, nothing. Some people died because they didn't have any bread. There is children sleeping without eating anything.
Ապրում են մենակ օդի ու ջրով. Այսօր իմ քրոջ ծնունդն է, նույնիսկ հաց չունեն դնեն սեղանի. Ես չգիտեմ որպես քույր ինչով օգնեմ իմ քույրիկիս, իմ մայրիկիս, իմ քրոջ երեխաներին, բոլոր իմ հարազատներին. Ոչ մեկին ոչ մի բան ես չեմ կարողանում օգնել.
Please help our nation of Nagorno-Karabakh. Help them, please. It's important. Please.
As it turns out, people are trying to help, but for nonprofits like the Armenian Tree Project, who are dedicated to improving food security in the region, Artsakh remains out of reach.
So Armenian Tree Project was established in 1994, and its main mission is to help Armenian people to improve their standard of living and also help the global environment. First of all, up till now, we have planted around 8 million trees in Armenia, all over Armenia and Artsakh. Besides planting trees in different communities in public parks, we also distribute fruit trees to the communities. Throughout the year, we monitor the sites and we see that people have really rich harvests. For example, 2 days ago we were in Ziadzan village school where we planted mainly fruit trees, and all the fruit for last year was sold and they were able to buy stationery and things necessary for the children. Also, the children eat this fruit at the cafeteria. We have 51 beneficiaries in Artsakh's Martuni and Askeran regions, implementing backyard greenhouse project there. Unfortunately, right now, because of the blockade, we are not able to go there. Last year we went there 4 times and they were doing really fine. People were very motivated. They wanted to grow this food because it's just a small hope that everything is going to be okay there. And also in April and May, we sent 90 tons of potato seeds and other vegetable seeds to beneficiaries and also to the large farmers who can cultivate and help people. Right now, I can't say what's going to happen because this situation is getting worse and worse day by day, but we don't want to lose our hope. We hope that the international community will respond and this problem will be solved and justice will prevail.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Andre. How are you? I haven't heard anything from you for a few days. Where are you?
I'm good. We've been in Yerevan. Everything's fine. But we're now going to head towards the south, near the border with Azerbaijan.
Andrejan, you have to be extra careful. There's a lot going on in that area. I just want to make sure that you're safe and keep in touch with us to see what's going on. But I'm glad, Andre, you're there. At least you can see what's going on with your own eyes. But be careful, Andre, love.
I know. I mean, don't be worried. We'll get there, and then I'll give you a call.
Okay, thank you so much. But please make sure that you keep in touch with us and keep your eye on the news, see what's going on. Okay? Love you. Love you. Good luck. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Love you.
In May of 2023, during a meeting in Moscow, the leaders of Azerbaijan and Armenia argued about the Lachin corridor in front of Russian President Vladimir Putin. The president of Azerbaijan denies blocking the corridor, while insinuating that Armenians remain free to vacate the territory.
Просто прошу разрешить просто ответить и сказать, что Азербайджан никакой коридор не заблокирован. Что касается дороги Лачин-Ханкенди, то она открыта. На границе между Арменией и Азербайджаном, которую вы признаете, установлен погранично-пропускной пункт в соответствии со всеми международными нормами. Этот погранично-пропускной пункт находится в 20 метрах от поста российского миротворческого контингента. И на сегодняшний день через этот пограничный пропускной пункт жители Азербайджана армянской национальности, которые проживают в Карабахе, свободно перемещаются в сторону Армении.
Пожалуйста, если можно, но я попросил на этом остановиться.
Just 10 weeks later, in an interview with Euronews, President Aliyev explained that it was not the government, but environmental activists from Azerbaijan who controlled the corridor.
And the reason why representatives of civil society of Azerbaijan started to control the corridor was because of the fact that illegal excavation of natural resources in Karabakh restarted. These resources belong to us.
In 2016, a leak of financial and legal records known as the Panama Papers revealed government corruption in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan's government, under Aliyev's presidency, awarded lucrative gold mining contracts to a consortium of companies secretly owned by his two daughters. The Aliyev family's interest in the Azeri gold mining industry puts into question the legitimacy of these environmental protests.
The several foreign companies were illegally exploiting our gold and copper mines, and that is how our civil society representatives started to control it. But again, the road was not closed. It was absolutely free, and the movement was free.
In February 2023, in response to the road's closure, the International Court of Justice ordered Azerbaijan to take all measures at its disposal to ensure unimpeded movement of persons, vehicles, and cargo along the Lachin corridor in both directions.
So it was never interrupted? Traffic was never interrupted?
No.
So why do you think these institutions have asked, especially on the part of Azerbaijan, because they said, you are responsible for the area surrounding it, so you should ensure the freedom of movement. Why do you think that is? Are they targeting you just because of...
International Court of Justice actually addressed its message to us to communicate with civil society activists, not to disrupt any kind of movement. And we did it. And as soon as we established the border checkpoint on our border with Armenia, which is our legitimate right, which is not contested by anyone, including International Court of Justice, we communicated through my representative here in Shusha with NGOs representatives for them to stop. And they stopped, they left. So now freedom of movement is not blocked. Red Cross restarted again to transport medications and evacuate patients who need treatment in Armenia. But unfortunately, Red Cross trucks, when checked, we found smuggling goods like cigarettes, iPhones, and gasoline. So that's how, again, it was blocked.
President Aliyev finally admits on the record that the new border checkpoint operated by Azerbaijan's military has blocked the Lachin corridor. This move violated the 2020 ceasefire agreement and the International Court of Justice's order. All of this was done, allegedly, because of
cigarettes, iPhones, and gasoline. People who live in Karabakh, in an area which is controlled now temporarily by Russian peacekeepers, they live in Azerbaijan, and they should choose whether to live as citizens of Azerbaijan, as ethnic minority, or to leave. So this is their choice. It's not because we want them to leave, or as Armenia accuses us, we organize ethnic cleansing. No, we give them a choice, because how can they live on our territory being a citizen of either Armenia without any legal permission, or a citizen of so-called Nagorno-Karabakh Republic, which is not recognized by anyone. And now they're looking for new security guarantors. And who is ready to have a standoff with Azerbaijan on the battlefield in this area, especially after what we demonstrated during the war?
Karabakh Azerbaijan suka. Armenia тоже Azerbaijan suka.
Azerbaycan dinledi. Skajı Azerbaycan. Karabakh Azerbaycan'ındır.
Uca Azerbaycan bura. Uca değil he bura. Cicdillah Karabakh Azerbaycan idi bura. Tamam. Armenia тоже bura Azerbaycan bura. Bas sen de suka bura.
Dene.
Kaptan gireyni gandon gavariti bey.
Mənim faktım var. Düşmənə qarşı nifrətim var. Düşmənə qarşı amansızlığım var. Düşmənin ağzını cırıb qoymuşam qulağın dalında. Ortasından bölmüşəm, başını kəsmişəm, nə bilim nələr eləmişəm. Qulağını kəsmişəm, xışma ilə qulaq gətirməm palıyordum kəndə kəsəyə.
Gözlə. Başlarını nişan al. Vur.
Sakla! Kim vur? Yok mu? Ateşi geç!
Amongst the slew of human rights violations committed and recorded by Azerbaijan soldiers during the 2020 war, they violated Article 13 of the Geneva Convention. This convention prohibits the inhumane treatment and execution of prisoners of war. When considered within the larger context of the conflict, these actions demonstrate Azerbaijan's deep racial hatred for the Armenians, as well as their intent to commit genocide. With the intent to commit genocide in mind, these actions meet the criteria outlined in Article 2A of the Genocide Convention, where genocide is defined as the deliberate killing of members of a group. Azerbaijan's genocidal attitudes are not just confined to the military, they can be seen permeating the government and civil society as well. In 2020, the press officer of a football team in Azerbaijan posted on Facebook calling for the indiscriminate killing of all Armenians, including women, children, and the elderly. As a result, the Union of European Football Associations banned him from any football-related activity for life. Following the ceasefire, a government-owned company called Azermarka produced a series of official postage stamps illustrating the fumigation of Nagorno-Karabakh. These images equate the ethnic Armenians to a virus in need of extermination.
Is there anyone ready to fight for Armenians against us? I doubt it. The situation in which they are now today will not change in their favor if they continue to ignore us.
Visiting Armenia has added color into my life. Almost every interaction I've had has been truly received with kindness, with pure curiosity, and also a willingness to go out of his or her way to tell me a story about their upbringing and their meaning of what it is to be an Armenian. So it's almost as if every conversation has been with a long-lost family member. A very persistent emotion I've felt is the stronger sense of unity that has shown itself as a strength of the Armenian people, not just within Armenia, but across the diaspora. So I do feel a very strong kinship. I do feel like there is a broader family here, not just my immediate, not just my relatives, but there is a global family that I truly have experienced while being on foot here in Armenia. I know going back, there is another depth, another layer of understanding of who I am and who I want to be for my future children and their children, who I want to be for my family, and who I want to be for my friends as well. That undertone, that low vibration that is always there of who you are, of where you came from and what your forefathers accomplished, just really gives you a sense of scale that goes beyond. It goes generations old. It cements my place in time a little bit. So I kind of want to bring the past and do my best to keep the momentum going to the future. There's an extra bit of purpose as I go back to my day-to-day life after this trip.
There are very strong fears being expressed by Armenia that there will be ethnic cleansing of their people.
This is groundless accusations. First, with respect to the Armenian population of Nagorno-Karabakh, they will continue to live there. They are our citizens. And I, on many occasions, expressed this position.
If they're cut off by your forces, how can they survive?
We will take care of them. We will take care of them, absolutely. No doubt about that.
Azerbaijan targeted many civilian communities, including Stepanakert. And as a result, more than 80 people were injured by Azerbaijani shellings. 21 civilians were killed, and among them, 6 were children. Their task was not only to fight against military of Nagorno-Karabakh, but also to spread fear among civilian population. Aliyev imagined a different future for Artsakh people. He wanted us to be subjugated. He wanted us to forget our language, our religion, everything that is connected with Armenia. But it's impossible to live under a regime which is spreading Armenophobia, which is teaching its children how to hate Armenians.
Arazini terk et. Arazini terk et. Ha ha ha. Ne oldu başarı ya?
Как называется наша родина?
Азербайджан!
А вы знаете, кто враги Азербайджана? Кто наши враги?
Армяне!
Армяне. Почему они наши враги? Кто мне скажет?
Они наших людей убивали.
Ага, еще кто что может сказать? Еще что они сделали?
Они убили всех наших солдатов.
Everything was very evident that under Azerbaijani control, Armenians will be destroyed. That's why people just prefer to live and to save their lives.
They cannot live in Azerbaijan saying that they live in so-called Nagorno-Karabakh Republic, because Nagorno-Karabakh so-called republic do not exist. They invented it in their dreams, in their mythology. And if they want to live in Azerbaijan as citizens of Azerbaijan, of course they can. There was no need for them to leave, but when they decided to leave, we could not stop them. And we provided maximum comfort for them to live in peace.
The decision to evacuate to Armenia was very tough, but it was made under coercive environment, under 10 months of blockade, starvation, and under threat of genocide or physical destruction.
That September, nearly all 120,000 Armenians living in Nagorno-Karabakh fled to Armenia in fear for their lives. They saw no choice but to leave their homes and worldly possessions behind.
I crossed the Agari Bridge, the border, with great fear of being captured by the Azerbaijani officers. Fortunately, it did not happen, but it happened with our colleagues.
Similar to the events of 1915, when the Ottoman Empire targeted Armenian intellectuals to undermine their leadership, Azerbaijan has detained senior political leaders from Nagorno-Karabakh. They are now facing terrorism charges in Azerbaijani courts.
I think that we should do everything to engage international human rights organizations, international community to have these people released from Azerbaijani jails. Unfortunately, today our people are facing so many uncertainties and humanitarian and short-term challenges. I mean psychological challenges, I mean economic, financial difficulties. But at the same time, our people always ask me whether there is any possibility of return, which means that we, the leadership of Armenia and Artsakh, should continue to advocate for the return of Armenians to Artsakh and continue to advocate for the accountability and punishment of Azerbaijan for this crime. I will never give up on demanding the right of my people and for my right to live in Artsakh.
Bugünü bizə bəxş edən müzəffər silahlı qüvvələrimiz döyüş meydanında cəsarət, qəhrəmanlıq, fədakarlıq göstərərək düşməni bizim əzəli torpaqlarımızdan qovmuşdur. Bu böyük tarixi hadisədir. Azərbaycan xalqının çox əsrlik tarixində buna bənzər parlaq qələbə olmamışdır. Və oktyabrın 15-də Ağdərədə, Əskəranda, Xocavənddə, Xocalıda və Xankəndidə mən Azərbaycan bayrağını qaldırdım. Bundan böyük xoşbəxtlik ola bilməz. Həm mənim üçün, həm sizin üçün, həm Azərbaycan xalqı üçün, həm bütün dünya Azərbaycanlıları üçün.
On November 17, 2023, the United Nations International Court of Justice ordered Azerbaijan to ensure that persons who have left Nagorno-Karabakh and who wish to return are able to do so in a safe, unimpeded, and expeditious manner. But if they return home, who will guarantee their safety and security? According to Article 2 of the United Nations Genocide Convention, Azerbaijan has collectively committed 4 genocidal acts against the Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh. How can they return to their homeland when it's controlled by a government who would see them destroyed?
think that the people around us, they want one thing, the elimination of the Armenian nation. They want to see those lands taken, occupied. I mean, this is what Pan-Turkism is, from one coast to the other, just solid. Right now, we're a sore spot. And I think, no, I don't see a peaceful solution the way we're going right now. And especially because we're relying on others. The Russians, America is supposedly going to come out. Israel could care less. They're selling weapons to the Turks.
As far as Armenia is concerned, Turkey and Azerbaijan act as one nation, one military command. There are differences, slight differences of ethnicity and geopolitical orientation, but as far as the Armenians are concerned, they're united, and their goal is no Armenia. It's as simple as that.
We know the enemy's intention. Their intention is to take the land over.
Peace will never exist there unless Armenia is out of the picture. Armenian highlands, that is the peaceful location on planet Earth.
Artsakh is historical Armenian land. People have been lived there for centuries, for thousands of years. We have culture, rich culture. We can't lose another part of Armenia, and it's just intolerable.
Looking ahead 10, 20, 30 years, their goal would be something like, not only there not being Armenians there, but no one who ever remembers seeing an Armenian still being there.
Sometimes people say, hey, let's just get up and move someplace else. You know, we're creative people, we can do it. No, you can't. That land is sacred. It's the land around Mount Ararat.
Of course we want peace. But if somebody is up to kill your family, to kill your children, so you have no choice but to fight.
The life of man is very important than gas or petrol or jewelry or gold or anything.
There cannot be a lasting peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan without addressing the core issue, which is and will continue to be the rights of Artsakh people.
The justice is not there. Yes, we are a small nation, but we are a nation of millennia. We think that we have given to humanity, not only for us, a lot that we can be proud of, and we think that the rest of the world should appreciate. And when you appreciate something that you know where it's coming from, at least raise your voice trying to defend it.
There needs to be a way forward for peaceful resolution. Either side can't have their perfect scenario. There needs to be recognition from the international community in order to fight some of the injustices that we face today.
We should finally learn lessons from our past, from the Armenian Genocide of 1915, from recent past of Nagorno-Karabakh, of Artsakh, and we'll finally come together and understand how we should create stronger Armenia, which will be home for Artsakh Armenians, for Armenian citizens, and for diaspora Armenians.
be wrong. I'm afraid I'm a liar. I've been playing with fire. I've been singing about a past I don't remember much. Lost it somewhere in a bottle, gave it all back in a box when I was sure that everything was really said and done. Now I make myself the jury, judge, and executioner for everything I did and all I wish I would have done. Cry out for attention, public display of affliction, just a twist of knife you probably pulled out years ago. So if only for a moment I can fake like I control the twists and turns of fate that left me feeling so alone. I tried to let the light in, but it only hurt my eyes. Left me squinting through the dust at my own reflection. I could swear to God I knew her, but she died at 22 and left the eulogy to prove that she was here at all. I'm afraid I'm a liar. I've been playing with fire. I've been singing about the past I don't remember much. Lost it somewhere in a bottle, gave it all in a box when I was sure everything was really said and done.
There he is. Grandpa made it. Everything's okay. And we're gonna head home right now.
Say hi on the camera to your father. Say hi, Dad. Look at this. All this.
Or what a good job, I'll tell you. Good man. Good man.